these light and momentary troubles that you are now experiencing are leading to you in eternal glory. I believe that God allows us to go through situations, right? And it can prepare us for other things. The Bible says that suffering produces character, character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint. My grandmother taught me something, and it was pay yourself first. So let's say that you are making $800 a week and you get a raise to $1,000 a week. She said, you give yourself a $50 raise, and then you put away that $150 as if it never existed, because you were living on that $800, right? So you just give yourself a small raise and then you tuck away the rest.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Through with a Splash of Tea, a podcast where conversation is key. Today, we have a very special guest, Leah Arteaga. Leah has a very inspirational story, but not only inspirational, also heart-wrenching. Leah grew up in a home shaped by mental illness and addiction. She lost her only brother in a car accident, and just 2 days later, her mother was murdered. In 2009, as a single mother of 5, Leah faced unemployment, the deportation of her children's father, and for the first time in her life, food insecurity. But Leah's story doesn't end there. In fact, that's just where the mission begins. She took her pain and turned it into purpose, founding the Roslindale Food Collective to serve others facing hunger. Today, she works as a community relations representative for the Behavioral Health Helpline, and the very same system that once supported her own son during his mental illness crisis. First things first, Leah, I want to thank you for being here. There's so much to unpack. I'm so excited to do it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay. So with all my guests, I like to start at the very beginning.
Sure.
We like to start with the childhood to see how that shaped the person you are today.
Sure.
So let me know a little bit about your childhood dynamic and how that was growing up in your household.
Sure. I grew up in Maine, which is just, I think as a kid is a great place to grow up. It's very safe and, it's just a very wholesome. I grew in the country, which is really wonderful. Unfortunately, my mom was an alcoholic and bipolar and also a prescription drug addict. So basically she just, took Percocet and Demerol and Vicodin and all those medications long before we had the registry to kind of stop people. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, she, as a result of her addiction, just really was not present as a mom. And so as a direct result, I was really raised by my grandmother. And, I think it's part of that really influences me being kind of that person that always wants to take care of people, because I grew up always taking care of my mother because she just really couldn't take care of herself. And so I think that has had a huge influence on me and who I am and how I think.
Mm-hmm. How many siblings do you have?
I actually just had one brother, just the one brother that died in the car accident. Yeah. Yes, it was just he and I.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to, was that later on in your life? Do you want to unravel that a little bit? Or do you want to talk about, I want to know a little bit about your schooling and how we transitioned to where we are.
Sure. So basically my mom was married 5 times, and they were all basically just one mess after another. She just couldn't pick them. Really?
I've had this 5 times. I already know what I'm doing.
But my mom was a beautiful, 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 curvy woman. And so it was kind of easy for her to attract to the next one. And so kind of as a result of that, to be totally honest with you, I actually went to 13 schools before I graduated from high school. So for me, it was kind of tumultuous. So what I did was I actually threw myself into theater. And so I did all kinds of any of the plays and vocal coaching. And so I ended up actually going to Emerson College. I was accepted at Emerson as a freshman in the theater department for acting, which was to me just a dream come true. So I feel like some of those, tough experiences that resulted in me kind of gravitating toward the theater department, because that was what was comfortable for me, resulted in me going to Emerson. And now I actually do public presentations for my full-time job. So I feel like it all kind of was a part of my journey. And so I'm so grateful for it. But yeah, I had only one sibling. And we didn't really live together because he would stay with my mom and I would basically go with my grandmother, and it kind of bounced back and forth because I was a little too vocal for my stepfathers. So, well, so my grandmother kept me. And my grandmother was a gem. And I'll tell you, my grandmother taught me something, and it was pay yourself first. So let's say that you are making $800 a week and you get a raise to $1,000 a week. She said, you give yourself a $50 raise, and then you put away that 150 as if it never existed because you were living on that 800, right? So you just give yourself a small raise and then you tuck away the rest. And so as a direct result of that, I just started doubling up on my, or paying my mortgage payment in advance. I just took 7 years off my mortgage. Yes, and $22,000 by just making a change of paying in advance and paying 1 month in advance and then getting paid up in advance, always in advance. So, yeah, but that comes back to my grandmother, right? In teaching me that, hey, you just got a raise, make sure you take a good portion of that and just put it away because you never know when you're going to need it. Don't just blow it, the money, be responsible with it and plan for the future.
That's such a good lesson. And we often don't think about it that way because once we see the raise, we're like, oh, I have more money to spend now.
Correct.
I have more money to just do what I want with. And not necessarily. You do, but the better idea is to tuck it away for the future, for the bigger goals. Because you were making that 800 stress perfectly, probably not perfectly fine, but
you were living paycheck to paycheck on $800, right? So now you could easily still live paycheck to paycheck on $1,000.
Yes.
But if you say, no, I'm going to live paycheck to paycheck on $850 or $900, whatever, and then stash the rest away, because it's like wearing pants with a belt. If you just wear stretchy pants, you can just eat, right? Yeah. But then none of your clothes fit. So you got to wear pants with a belt, which means I'm not going to overextend myself and I'm going to stay within this so that life is good.
Yeah.
And life will still be good.
Yes. I want to know why theater.
I think because you have the ability to convey a feeling to people without being vulnerable because you're in a character, right? So if I'm portraying a character and I'm getting across this point, I'm not physically doing it myself. So I'm not being vulnerable, but I can still convey that in a way. And I also think I'm theatrical. I think I love being, I love entertaining people. I love watching people laugh and I love moving people. So if I can share a story that's going to move someone's heart, I feel fulfilled, right? And even if that means that it's emotional for me to share that story, that's okay, because I know that I've actually made an impact on someone else to share in a way that could potentially inspire them. So I think the theater is also the same way. I mean, depending on what the play is, your character can inspire people.
Yeah, spot on. I like that. Okay, let's talk about Emerson. So you did theater throughout the different high schools that you went to.
Yes.
And then you got into Emerson. You went to Emerson for 4 years?
I went to Emerson for 1 year because I said to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to graduate with a degree in acting and then what? Like, am I really going to be able to get a job? Like, am I going to be like, how can I have a family? No, that's not very practical. So I said, you know what? I need to do something more practical. I love theater, but I need to do something practical. So I transferred to Northeastern and got a degree in education. Right. And so, it's almost like theater. You get up in front of a classroom, right, to entertain 20 or 30 11 or 12-year-olds, you need to be theatrical, right? You need to get up in front of them and do a presentation, and you need to get their attention and keep their attention while you're teaching them. So it definitely lended toward education. And so now I'm educating people through doing public presentations, which is kind of like so cool. So it's a full circle for me.
Okay, so going to school for education, I want to know what the trajectory was after that. So after you got your degree in education, then where did we go after that?
So actually, I graduated in 1990 when the economy was really tough and there were no teaching jobs. So I couldn't find any elementary ed teaching jobs. So I taught preschool, which was not really, it was okay, but like not potty trained was not exactly my idea of fun. Like really? So, but right? And you had 20 little kids that range from 2.9 to 5, and they could be as much as like still in diapers and learning how to tie their shoes and that whole gamut. And so, but I did it for a few years. And ironically, after a few years, one of the women whose daughter was at my daycare, was having her third baby and said, I'm leaving my position as the front desk manager of a dermatology practice. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I don't know anything about dermatology. What's the pay? Now, at that point, I was making $8 an hour, right? So I interviewed and I asked for $9 an hour. And he hired me. And then before he even gave me my first paycheck, he was giving me $11 an hour. I was like, wait, what? And so I stayed with him for 18 years and I grew that practice from just a single doctor in a small practice with 2 rooms to 2,000 square feet, multi-specialty. We had ocular plastics, we had dermatology, plastic surgery, cosmetic dermatology. Yeah, it was really, dermatologic surgery was a huge practice. And we grew it until 2009. So in 2009, my boss retired and basically said, we tried to sell the practice and, it was just really hard. It's hard selling a medical practice, depending upon what the practice is. So in any case, that was it. So he retired in 2009 and he sold the practice to some new owners from Atlanta and they brought in their own management and I was out. I was without a job after 18 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I was making $90,000 a year at that job. Yes. So I went from $90,000 a year to my spouse being deported and having 5 kids, 2 of his and 3 of ours.
Oh my goodness.
I'm making $25,000 a year supporting myself and 5 kids. And he tried to come back and they caught him crossing the border and they put him in a federal penitentiary for 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
So now I'm supporting 7 people on unemployment. It was bad to the point where I was 60 days before a short sale on my house. Like I was losing my house. And an organization called Nuestra Comunidad stepped in and helped me do my loan modification because the bank was not doing the loan modification. They just didn't want to. I had been trying for a year. And I was at the point where they were going to sell my house and we had no place to go.
How old were your kids at the time?
5, 8, 11, and then those are my little guys. And then the teenagers were 16 and 15 and 17. And I was thankful for them. I mean, they literally helped me, right? Because they were the big kids at home helping the little kids. Just amazing. So, I mean, I'm grateful. And I had them because their mom was deported. So they had no place to go. So they came to live with us, And so, yeah, it was probably one of the hardest times in my life. And I have a saying on my phone that says, sometimes you feel like you've been buried, but you've really been planted. And it's just a little seed. And you see this little avocado tree growing up through, and you realize that little seed that is buried beneath the ground says, why? It's dark, it's cold, I'm by myself. This is, why? This isn't right. Why me, right? But the reality is that if that little seed had not been buried, it wouldn't have the opportunity to put out those roots, to grow that stock, to poke through, to see the sun, to get the rain, to get the nourishment it needed to become what it had the potential to be. So it was really planted.
Yeah. So true. So true. I want to talk about specifically food insecurity for a second.
Sure.
Because that developed into so much, such a big part of your life. So let's discuss that and what that looked like for you at the time, raising your kids and not having your husband around.
Sure. So up until that point, I mean, think about it. I'm making 90 grand and he's making well over 100. So we're very, very comfortable. We had a lot of bills, but we were comfortable. And food insecurity you know what I mean? My biggest was like, is it fish or chicken for dinner? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we never worry, do we have enough money to eat out? Like none of that. But once he was gone and once I went on unemployment, I realized like I didn't have enough money to put food on the table. And so I started to go to food pantries, and I would go to Catholic Charities. I would go to Rose's Bounty. I would go to Red Cross. And I would go to basically in every month, you have 4 weeks typically, right? So you have 4 pantries that you normally go to. And so the tricky part is in a month when you have 5 weeks, you go to pantry number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and that's your routine. Every month you go to every week you go to a different pantry to get through your full 4 weeks. Well, the month that you have a 5th week, you don't have a 5th one in the back pocket because you haven't developed one. You know what I mean? And so you can easily go to pantry number 1 on week number 5, and they turn you away. And let me tell you, to be turned away at a food pantry is like demoralizing. And even to go to a food pantry. And that's one of the things that, I vowed in my food program is going to be welcoming and warm and inviting. I mean, in going to a food pantry, there's just something about it. And, I don't consider myself a prideful person, but it's just kind of like, it's humbling to walk up and stand in a line. And I think like, what have I become? Here I am, this college educated woman. I'm standing in a food pantry, and then I would come home, and a lot of times it would be just like mac and cheese and spaghetti and canned tuna, and the same kind. Every week would pretty much be the same base stuff. And of course, I wasn't grateful for it, but sometimes it's just like there's no produce. And so it was hard. It was hard going to food pantries. It was a little bit humiliating, a little bit demoralizing, but very demoralizing when they turn you away because you've forgotten that you were already there that month because you got a 5th week. That's tough. And so that's one of the pillars of the Roslindale Food Collective is we let people come every week. If you come every week, you come every week. I don't stop people. And you don't have to be from that neighborhood. Most organizations require you to be from that area in order to receive the food. Anybody can come. If you're coming from Brockton, if you're coming from Framingham, if you're coming from Saugus, it doesn't matter. If you're going to drive, I'm going to give you the food. So.
Was the Roslindale Food Collective opened? Was that your next job after?
Yeah, no. So actually that was, I never had any intentions of running a nonprofit. Let me just be very clear. In fact, many people say, you should run a nonprofit. What are you, crazy? No, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. So long story very short is, I had a very good friend named Marguerite, and she used to go pick up food from Whole Foods in Bedford and bring it to some group homes in Medford and Malden. But the group homes could only take so much food and they could only take so much bread. And so they turned away a good portion of it. They wouldn't take a lot of the sweets. Like they were concerned to make sure that they were getting the healthiest food for the people in the group homes. They didn't want lots of sweets and lots of bread. And so whenever Marguerite would go from Bedford to Medford, whatever was left over, she would bring back to Roslindale. And my friend Janet would take it into her house and then just distribute it. So I would say to Marguerite, hey, you do this on Monday. This is a Monday holiday. Let me follow you. I'll help you. So every Monday holiday, I helped her. So Marguerite came to me one day and said, hey, what do you think about going to Whole Foods in Bedford on Saturdays? And I'm like, every Saturday? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So I would go to Bedford, which is like a 40-minute drive, pick up all of their food at the Whole Foods in Bedford, bring it back to my picnic table, post to the community that I'm coming to Roslindale. I have a trailer full of food. Please come get it. And then within 20 or 30 minutes, people would just come with their shopping bags and they would just take the food. And I was like, oh, that's great. It didn't end up in the trash. That's amazing. So then I had a neighbor who said, hey, do you want some help? And I'm like, her name was Sadie. I'm sure if you're really going to do it, but don't offer help and then not pull through, right? Because the last thing I need is for people to say, oh, I'll help you. And then, they bag out at the last minute and one excuse after another. Next thing you know, you're holding the bag. So Sadie, this was before the pandemic in 2019. And Sadie said, you know what, we can do this. And so we collaborated with the Brookline Food Co-op for our first year, and they were supplying us with food so we could get our bearings. And then we started to get other stores. And then Sadie organized volunteers to go to the stores and get the food and all come at the same time. So we've been kind of, morphing this program as the years have gone on. In 2019, it was a free open market. People would just shop. They would come with their bag and we would say, there's apples, take what you need, but leave what you can. Don't take 20. You know what I mean? Because other people behind you need it too. And so that was a little tough because people sometimes get greedy, but that's how we were doing it. And we would organize it with like all the produce and then all the prepared and then all the breads. And we just let people come and fill their bags. And then when the pandemic hit, we realized that was going to spread the disease. We had to completely reconfigure what we did. So what we did was we pre-packed the bags. So now we pre-pack the bags with shelf stable. So it could have it could have spaghetti sauce. It could have ranch dressing. It could have cereal. It could have vanilla, like pure vanilla. I mean, there's some really good stuff in those bags. Like, wow, I feel good about giving out that bag. And then in addition to a bag in a banana box is all kinds of apples and oranges and pears and lettuce and grapes and like just all amazing produce that we're able to get from lots of different stores. So, and we also are now collaborating with Fair Foods. That's a $2 bag program. So they're allowing us to buy food at a fraction of basically at their cost. So we are able to provide anywhere from 1,000 to 1,300 pounds of produce every week. We supply 4,200 to 5,600 pounds of wheat every week. 5,600 pounds of food in a 2-hour setting from start to finish. We start at 1:30, we end at 3:30. We're done in 2 hours with a team. I think we have like 30 volunteers. The boatload, but we get a lot done in a short period of time, and it's mutual aid. So volunteers get to pack their own bag. It's not community service. Those volunteers aren't approaching it like I'm above the other people. No, I'm not serving you. You're in my community, and this is a mutual aid situation. I'm on the same level. I need food just like you do. So I'm here to help my family and help you. So that's the model. So we feed about 250 people a week, about 1,000 people a month. And I had no idea. Like when I tell you, so when the pandemic hit, we were making like 180 boxes. And we were able to support immigrants that weren't getting pandemic money, that didn't have unemployment, that didn't have any stimulus, that literally had nothing. And it was so fulfilling for me because obviously having lived through being married to someone who wasn't documented and going through all of those, the throes of all of that, and then seeing him deported and just knowing what it is to lose a spouse. I mean, it's like a death, to be honest with you. I mean, they're just gone. And I'll tell you, my youngest was 5. And he used to, when I got home, he would make me take my shoes off. That's a very odd behavior. And whenever I would put my pocketbook on my shoulder, he would become very anxious. And I thought, that's an odd behavior. And what I realized that he had separation anxiety. He thought that if my pocketbook was on my shoulder and if my shoes were on, I could leave without him knowing. Because his father left without him knowing and never came back.
That's tough.
And ICE picked him up at the Metco bus stop in front of my son. At the Metco bus stop. You think they could wait till the bus left? Terrible. Terrible.
How did you find out?
How did I find out? ICE called me and told me that they took him. They had him in custody. But what's really sick is that he only had one case that we got resolved in Superior Court. So we got the case expunged, not guilty, done. We were ready to process his papers, ready. So exciting. And then 9 days later, there was a brand new law, Immigration versus Roldan, which says we no longer accept expungements for the purposes of immigration. And they backdated the new law. So he, who had won his case 9 days earlier, is guilty. And so was the person that won their case a year earlier and 10 years earlier. So what they basically did is they took away all of the victories of all the immigrants who had proceeded to resolve their case in the way that the government told them to, which was to get your case expunged. Yes. So they made all those immigrants guilty again, deportable again. That's the truth.
And then on his journey back, he got caught and was in prison for 3 years after that.
In a federal penitentiary with drug dealers and gang members and murderers. And just, it was in Texas. It was bad. He basically left the prison as a destroyed man. Yeah, he's not the same person I met and married and fell in love with. And it's so sad. The anger and the hatred and the just, his heart is dark now. Its heart is dark. It'll be dark forever. So he's basically cut off all his kids. His heart is so dark that he just can't have a relationship with any of his family members anymore. Very sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It changed him.
It changed him. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, and sometimes you just got to say, hey, listen, life gives you lemons, you make margaritas, right?
Yeah.
Come on, girl. So,
yes.
So I've been making margaritas. A little heavy on the rum.
Oh, gosh. I want to know how old the kids are now. And I also want to know what their thought process was when you told them that you were opening the Roslindale Food Collective. Well, I don't know if it was a moment that you told them or if they saw
They saw it because they just saw me bringing the food and they would help me carry it. I mean, they realized that, mom's a little bit crazy and hates to see food go in the trash. And so she's willing to sacrifice. I mean, Lord, I do dumpster diving for like dog food. I'm not like legit dumpster diving. I'm in the dumpster. I'm like, here, I'll throw it out to you. They're like, you're out of your mind. I am, but it's all good because there's a lot of dogs that are going to eat food that wouldn't otherwise. So don't give me shit. So now
I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I said to my boys right off the bat, I said, here's the deal. Papa was picked up and they put him in jail and he's not going to be coming home. And we're just going to have to dig in as a family to do the best we can to make do. And, one of the blessings was that my brother-in-law who had leukemia had just moved in with us because he couldn't work. So it was his second round of leukemia. And so my oldest son, who was 11 at the time, said, Mama, if he needs a place to stay, I can just move in with my brothers. So I had 3 boys in one room. I had my Dagoberto, which is my brother-in-law, in my son's bedroom. And then I had my bedroom. And the doctor said that having my children around him extended his life because it gave him joy, right? He loved my kids so much. And it was the support he needed as it was support I needed, right? Because after a while, when the other ones graduated from high school, they went back to New Jersey. So I didn't have a full house. So it ended up with just eventually my brother-in-law and my 3 kids. And that's when I started the Roslindale Food Collective. And my kids have always been supportive. Sometimes, they get tired. They don't want to like move boxes and stuff. And so now, as they've gotten older, I now have a better system where now we literally pick everything up on Saturday. Whatever I pick up on Saturday stays in the van until Sunday. So that's just produce, right? And then everything else gets picked up on Sunday. We pick everything up Sunday morning, bring it to the church, distribute it Sunday afternoon. Nothing's waiting, nothing's holding, you don't need long-term refrigeration. We don't need storage. We don't need any of that, right? Because everything is done on that day.
And all your volunteers go to different...
So I have volunteers that go to all different stores. They go to Bedford, they go to Canton, they go to Norwood, they go to Charles River Plaza down by Mass General Hospital, all over wherever all our pickups are. Yes.
Everybody collects at the church.
And they all come together at 1:30 at the church like fire ants. They all come together to attack with all their food. And from 1:30 to 2, we unload it. From 2 to 3, we organize it. And from 3 to 3:30, we give it away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Where do you see this going? How big do you see it getting?
Well, so I just got tapped on the shoulder by Cisco, which is hello. And they said, the district manager lives in Roslindale, the regional manager lives in West Roxbury. So I sat down with them last week and they said, we've been watching your social media and what you do. And Cisco has a philanthropic arm that likes to support. So we'd like to see how we can support you. And I also just got Ocean State job lot. Hello.
Who are you? What's going on? Oh my gosh.
So we got 4 stores from Ocean State Job Lot that are going to give us tons of donations. And they're committing to giving us a pallet of dog food every 2 weeks, dog and cat food every 2 weeks.
No more dumpster diving.
No more dumpster diving. Although I might.
I still. All time's sake. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So it's amazing to me. And Northeastern University just awarded us the Civic Engagement Award for community service. I know. We got $2,000 as there were 5 people that were awarded and we got one of them. And I went to Northeastern. So it's kind of, and what's really, really cool is about a month ago or 2 months ago, I went to a Northeastern volunteer fair and I now have 10% of my volunteers as Northeastern students that come every week. And they're like my Indian connection. They're all Indian. And they're phenomenal. And they work super hard. There were a bunch of friends who came to the table. So now they all come together. They work really hard to pack the food. They take food home for themselves to feed their roommates and, yeah. And so it's really cool. It's kind of come full circle that, 10, sometimes it's even 15% of the volunteers are Northeastern students. So it's really amazing. It's amazing. Where can it go? To be honest with you, I suppose it's limitless. It could get big. I don't know.
It could become a big deal. I don't know. I'm here
for the ride. And this is the truth. I take no salary. So even when we got the farmers market coupons for $20,000, we got $20,000 worth of farmers market coupons. They gave me personally $5,000 for administrative fees to do the. No, girl, it's going right in my bank to buy food.
Oh my God.
No, I haven't taken a penny because you know why? I'm going to shut down any hater. Anybody that thinks I'm doing this for the money, come look at my bank account and see how much goes into my pocket. 0. Because I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I know it's the right thing to do. Martin Luther King said life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for others?
Yeah.
Winston Churchill said, you make a life by what you get. You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. So you make a living by what you get, right? What you do for a living, right? You make a life by what you give. What are you doing to give back to others? What are you doing to make a life? What are you doing to help other people in this community? What are you doing to leave your thumbprint? Because the bottom line is, we have a very short amount of time on this planet. And mark my words, when I am no longer on this planet, I will have left my thumbprint.
Definitely. You're already leaving it. It's already there. You're just making it deeper and bigger and it's expanding greatly.
And we even do things like, I remember a couple of weeks ago, a woman who has 5 kids said, oh, I would love that cake. It's my son's birthday next week. I could put it in the freezer. And I said, well, let's save you a cake next week. Yeah. She said, would you do that? I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I rescued a beautiful happy birthday cake. And so she's coming through the line. I'm like, I got your cake. She's like, right? Even those little details. People are saying, oh, I have a gluten allergy. So now we're setting aside gluten-free food. A box specifically for them. Hey, listen, we set aside gluten-free stuff. Go pick it. To try to really meet the needs. Not just throw together some haphazard box, but to really be thoughtful. We even try to say, oh, here's spaghetti sauce. Oh, here's spaghetti. Look at that. Put them together in the bag to be thoughtful in how we pack the bag.
And it's those elements that show our humanity, I feel. Mm-hmm. I'm not just creating something for the masses. I'm not this brand that's pushing something for the large group. I see you in the fact that you need a cake next week. So next week there will be a cake for you. Yes. I see you in the fact that you need another pair of socks. So next week there'll be a 6-pack of socks for you. You know, like just that, it's that element that makes people feel loved. It makes people feel like they're part of a community. Yeah.
I get hugs all the time from people. Even to the point now where my youngest son is a little bit of an introvert. And so we'll be going to Target. He'd be like, Mama, can we go into Target and just buy juice and get in and get out? Does it have to be a family reunion every single time? They're like, Leo. I'm like, hey, I love you. And sometimes I don't even know who they are. I'm just like, fake it till you make it. Don't ask any specific questions because you don't even know. How was your vacation? What vacation? How are your kids? What kids? Right? So you can't ask any of those questions and especially in my full-time job, because I'm out in the community all the time doing presentations for 250 people, right? So people recognize me, but I'm just like, so I was at an event the other day and they said, girl, your presentation was so moving and the story you told about your son was just so, and I was like, when? I'm sure I did it and I'm sure I said it, but I don't even know who you are or what organization you were or when I even spoke to you. But, oh, yeah, so glad. Yes. You know.
Yes. Like sometimes people would say, hey, how are you? You have no idea, but you just roll with it.
Roll with it.
Just roll with it.
Exactly.
You don't have to ask any questions. Let's talk about your full-time job for a little bit. Why don't you explain to people what you do and what you spend the other half of your time doing?
Sure. So I feel as though I won the lottery. I am the community relations representative for the Behavioral Health Helpline. So the Behavioral Health Helpline literally is a line that's available 24 hours a day, call, text, or chat. And it could be for anxiety, depression. It could be for if you're feeling suicidal. We actually do not use the police. We have our own mobile crisis. So when someone really is in crisis, we can send a clinician in a vehicle out to them wherever they are, in the park, their school, their home, like really anywhere. And we also connect people with resources like food, diapers, transportation, adult education, like any of those social. You're looking for a job and you can't pass the CORI, we'll connect you with an organization called Jewish Vocational Services, JVS, who helps people who can't pass the CORI to get jobs, like, CORI friendly, which is phenomenal, right? So there's all these different organizations that we collaborate with to provide services to people in Massachusetts. It's completely free. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen. You don't have to have insurance. You can call the line for anything, soup to nuts, whether it's just routine, whether it's urgent, or whether it's crisis. It's amazing. In our first 2 years, we took 83,000 calls. And less than 1% ended up in the back of a cruiser going to the emergency department. Thank you.
That's huge.
And it comes from the Department of Mental Health. So DMH basically did back in 2019 the roadmap for behavioral health reform. And Governor Baker and DMH kind of got together, did some listening sessions, and listened to the community. One of the things that the community was saying is during a mental health crisis, we're being picked up by the police and taken to the ED. And we all know that sometimes when the police get involved, situations can escalate, right? And so it's better if you have a trained clinician and that the police don't have to take that call, right? And so that was one of the things. Also, trying to get treatment for mental health and substance issues at the same location was very, very difficult. You couldn't, it was at two separate locations. Insurance was an obstacle. Documentation, if you're a citizen, was an obstacle. So we just took away all those barriers. DMH said, we're going to take away all the barriers. Don't have to have insurance. Don't have to be a U.S. citizen. 24 hours a day, we're there to take care of people regardless of whatever they need. We're going to be there to support them in their time of need. So that's what we do. So we're 2.5 years old, and I'm one of 10 community relations reps. I'm one of the ones in Boston, my coworkers in Hull, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I get to go out and talk to people and do tabling events and presentations and just share the hope that people don't have to suffer in silence, right? Because we have a stigma. Mental health has a stigma, and then there's a cultural component to that, right? We all know it. It's not, it's not rocket science. There's a lot of cultures that don't accept mental health and or the treatment of mental health. They just kind of say, you know what I mean? And so people, instead of saying, hey, I'm struggling, they just suffer in silence, and suicide is preventable, right? And so our goal is to meet people's needs where they are, to be real-time help today, right now, for whatever it is. And so I get to be out there letting people know about it, the ambassador for an amazing line that's impacting thousands of lives. So, I mean, like, I am so blessed. I'm so blessed that, on the weekends, I get to help people with food insecurity. And during the week, I get to help people understand how to address their mental health concerns and also all their social determinants of health. Like, if you're struggling with food insecurity, let's help you. If you're struggling, you need diapers, there's diaper banks. Let's help you. Let's help you figure this out.
Does it ever get, do you ever get drained?
So, it's funny. I was talking about this the other day with my group, and it's interesting because that's like an alternator for me. Like, that fills my battery. And it's called, what do they call it? It's called something compassion. So I was in a group meeting the other day, and I said, I might be weird, but like, you all feel tired. Like, this inspires me. This revs me up. Doing this is like the alternator that charges my battery, right? So I don't get drained because I love it. But here's the problem, is that I put me last. My self-care is at the very end and so I think that is inherently not ideal. So I have to figure out the balance, because I have the feeling that if there's a need, I need to meet it. And I think part of that comes from my childhood and just being the rescuer, right? They did like a little triangle, right? And I'm definitely the rescuer on that end of the triangle, right? Because I see an opportunity that someone needs, and I just think, I have a solution for them. I can fix that problem for them. I'm a fixer by nature. There's no question. Guilty as charged, right? And so I feel fulfilled knowing that I was able to help someone fix and resolve a problem. So it fills me. But I mean, you hit on a good point, which is that there are times where, I just need to slow down and breathe and take care of myself. And that's always been a concern of all of my bosses. They're like, we need to slow you down. You know what I mean? We don't want you to burn yourself out. And I'm just like an energizer bender. Go, 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 So.
Yeah. It recharges you to be able to pour into other people.
Correct. It really does. And they say you can't pour from an empty vessel, but for me, my vessel keeps getting filled up as I'm giving.
As you're pouring.
Right?
Yep. It's the pouring that allows you to be full.
My pouring sucks the water in from the other end at the same time. I mean, other people around me look, they're like, how do you you must be exhausted, but it invigorates me. Plus, I'm one of these people that only need like 4 hours sleep.
And then you're good.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Sleep, what's that?
Who needs it?
Who needs it?
Who needs it?
It's a waste of time.
What else do you do other than run the Food Collective, as well as is it BMH?
DMH, Department of Mental Health. Yep, Department of Mental Health. So the behavioral health helpline through DMH, the Food Collective. I mean, what else do I do? I don't really do a lot. I mean, I have my 3 boys, who live at home. They're on the 40-year plan. Because why wouldn't they be? Because they get a lot of good food. And rent's cheap.
Currently taking advantage of 40 years.
I mean, I unsuccessfully navigate online dating. That's a story. Oh man, telling you
what a curl of.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's not easy.
And there doesn't leave too much time outside of owning the Food Collective, working at DMH, having 3 kids. Like that's just a lot.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I would probably have to incorporate someone into my nonprofit world to kind of, I mean, that would be ideal. So, any guys out there with a great big heart that, really don't like food waste and want to address food insecurity. Me, like Shrek said, big me. That's a shameless plug.
I volunteer as this chatmate, you guys. Oh gosh. All right. For people that want to connect with you, talk to you, listen to you some more, how can they connect to you? Let people know.
Hey guys. So you can find me at Roslindale Food Collective .org. That's my website. It's currently being revamped because originally it was like flat. And then I saw someone else's website and I was like, oh, it's so engaging. It's so interactive. I need it. So my web guy is working on it right now. But RoslindaleFoodCollective.org is the best way you can find us. And we always have volunteer opportunities through our Sign Up Genius. And honestly, if you're food insecure, email me at RoslindaleFoodCollective@gmail.com. And I will figure out a way to help you connect with resources, with other organizations that may be in your community, even if I need to drive out and give you some food, you know what I mean? We'll work it out. So if you're food insecure, we're here to help you. And I'm well connected with lots of other agencies and organizations that are really dedicated to helping people, support them through these times. So come on, just say hi.
So good. Leah, so good. Everything you're doing is so inspirational. Like so inspirational. Cause like food is like, we just think of it, a lot of us will think of it as like just a whatever necessity. Like, okay, I'm going to grab this burger. I'm going to grab, it's so easy to get a hold of for some of us, for a lot of us, it's so easy to get a hold of. Like, I'll just swing by and grab this burger. I'll get these fries or whatever. And then we don't think enough about people that it's not that easy for.
Well, when you get to the point where you have to decide, I'm either going to pay this $400 water bill that's 3 months behind, or I'm going to buy food. Well, they're going to shut my water off, or they're going to shut my electricity off. Like when you need to choose between paying your electric bill so you have electricity and buying food, it puts you in a position where you feel really insecure. And, I will be totally honest with you. When I was going through that, I didn't even realize this. So I stopped. I would serve my children food and I would never serve myself. So I would serve 3 plates of food and I would only eat after they had eaten because I did not want my children to feel food insecure when I knew that we didn't have enough. And so for years, I never ate with them because we just didn't have enough to go around. And I needed to make sure that they were fed and that they didn't feel food insecure because and so that was hard. And you don't realize how much it impacts you when you just don't have enough food to feed your kids. And, and the reality is that, we are so fortunate in this country. Many other countries, people live meal to meal. Like they have no idea where their food is coming tomorrow. They just don't know, right? And so, that's serious food insecurity. What we have is a drop in the bucket. We live in one of the wealthiest communities in the world, and we have an abundance. And the amount of food that is thrown away, if I told you, you would be sick to your stomach. There are entire truckloads that go to the supermarket. The supermarket opens up one box of the lettuce and says nope, and they reject all 14 pallets, not 14 cases, 14 pallets of lettuce. They just reject it. So then the guy in the truck, well, I don't want it. I got another job. What am I going to do with 14 pallets of lettuce? We're talking fill this entire room twice with lettuce, right? So now I have a friend who takes all those are called kickback loads. They're loads that the supermarket said, I don't want. The other organizations said, fine, we'll take it as a loss. We don't want you to ship it back because if you ship it back, it's not going to be any good by the time it gets back to where we are. Plus, we can't afford to ship it back. It's too expensive. We'll just throw it away. So that's what happens on a daily basis. And all that food now results in greenhouse gases because it's being thrown away. It's composting in the earth and creating greenhouse gases. That food could be used to feed people. So if you can harness the food that's being thrown out, that's good quality food, harness that, rescue it, get it back to the people who need it, it's win-win. And so there's another organization called Food Rescue US, and they're also doing the same thing. Like they literally just take food from an organization, give it to an agency. They take it from, Whole Foods and give it to this food pantry. So there are, and rescuing leftover cuisine is another one that does it. They go to like events and hotels and all kinds of, universities, and they rescue all of that leftover food that didn't get given out at their event. They make like 14 platters and they only serve 10. There's 4 in these chafing trays that haven't even been opened. So rescuing leftover cuisine sends volunteers, they pick them up and they bring them to homeless shelters, women's shelters, sober homes. It's a beautiful thing. There's a lot of people out there doing, things to help impact people, reducing food waste and addressing food insecurity. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so the more we can do it, the better it is. It's win-win all around. And so I'm grateful that my path has led to this point. And it's, you make a living by what you get, you make a life by what you give, And so I've been making a life and, I've been doing what I can to support others, knowing that it's the right thing to do,
Leah, I know that you taught, I know definitely for myself, but as well as my viewers, I'm sure you've taught them so much within this episode. So that's a perfect platform for me to roll into my final question that I ask all my guests. So I created this platform for people to learn. I want them to learn about themselves, the world, just their brain, and like how powerful it is. So I always ask my guests, what is something that you wish more people knew? And that can be in regards to food insecurity, yourself, the world, just anything. But what's something that you wish that people just knew?
I wish people knew that these light and momentary troubles that you are now experiencing are leading to you an eternal glory. I believe that God allows us to go through situations, right? And it can prepare us for other things. The Bible says that suffering produces character, character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint, right? And so I believe that through our suffering, if we persevere, right? If we overcome, if we decide we're not going to give in, we're not going to let it destroy us. We're not going to let it turn us to a person who's angry and bitter and depressed, but we're going to channel that and we're going to figure out and lean on other people. It's a village, right? We don't do it alone. We lean on other people to overcome these challenges, to be able to rise above and to get stronger and to be able to support other people through it. Right? And so to not stay stuck and to realize that these are light and momentary troubles, even though they don't feel like it, but they are achieving for us a glory that far outweighs them all. That's not me. That's the Lord who said that. Right? But I believe it. And I believe that we need to look at every situation and say, as much as this seems like this is the end, it's not. It could literally be what I need to create the next beginning.
That's so good. That's so good. And I've been such in a season of redirection and like how important it is. Like a closed door doesn't mean like, oh my goodness, everything's going to crumble. It just means you're being redirected.
Yes.
And I've been recently like reflecting on the moments of redirection in my life. And I think that's exactly what it is to feel like, dang, I hit this wall and I really thought this was the path that I was going to take. And now it seems that this isn't a door. This is actually a wall. So I'm supposed to go a different path. Like that's hard to swallow, but
yes.
You need to swallow it.
Yes.
You need to be redirected.
Mm-hmm. And then you need to just dig in and say, okay, if that wasn't the solution, I'm going to find the solution.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. My business card, KAPS, Kick-Ass Problem Solver. It's for a reason. Because I'm not a quitter. And you know what's amazing? I'll share this really quickly. Twice in my life, people have come to hurt me. And it's ironic because at one point, someone went to inspectional services saying that they got moldy, expired food. And inspectional services came and basically said, well, we were outside. We were not inside. We were working in a parking lot. And so inspectional services came and said, well, you can no longer give out anything that's prepared, no milk, no cheese, nothing cold. You can't give that food out any longer because you don't have an indoor space with an industrial refrigerator. So unfortunately, you're going to have to stop doing this. We love what you're doing, but you can't do this any longer. And okay. And so then somebody went one step higher and reported something to another organization. So they basically came back and took away all of our whole food. So I basically lost my entire program in a matter of about a week. It was a 1-2 punch, right? So I posted to the community that I might have to accept defeat. I don't know what to do. I need an indoor space. I need a $4,000 industrial refrigerator, and I don't have it. And it's beyond me. And the thought of this all dissolving because I don't have the answers and I don't have the solutions, I'm so heartbroken. This was on a Monday. I posted it on social media. By Thursday, the community donated $12,000. A woman who bought a house in Western Massachusetts donated a $4,000 industrial refrigerator because she was never going to use it. It came with the house. All we had to do was pay $350 to transport it. And the church stepped up and said, hey, would you like to use our sanctuary? We have a space we would love to give you to use so that you don't have to be outside and you can put your refrigerator if you get a refrigerator. So now for the last 3 years, we've been operating out of the Charles River Church, Trinity Lutheran Church. And this all happened in under a week. What I wanted to happen in a year happened in under a week, but it was a result of a hater trying to shut us down, shutting me down, really, right? But it resulted in good.
Like exponential good.
And you want to hear another one? Somebody called Inspectional Services and said that I was storing all the food in my house. So 5 people from Inspectional Services came knocking on my door. The chief of Inspectional Services came knocking on my door with 5. I was like, oh, is anybody else working at Inspectional Services today? Because it looks like I got the whole department in my driveway. Talk about anxiety invoking. Oh boy, let's go. Right? And so the chief of Inspection Services came and I basically said, you know what? I'm going to let you know why you're here. I'm going to show you a picture of a disgruntled volunteer who was taking excessive amounts of food. And I basically said, I can't justify you taking 5 boxes of food and turning people away. I need to make this equitable. And that person was like, you can't tell me what I can take. So she basically said, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to go to Inspectional Services. I'm going to go to the IR. She said she was going hard. Well, Inspectional Services came and it was tough. And but what's really amazing is that years prior, my father had given me carbon monoxide filters, 5 of them, which I donated to the community because I have a fire alarm. Like, I don't need carbon monoxide filters. The hell? Right? So I just donated them by nothing, right? Like, I'm not using these. So, who wants a carbon monoxide filter? You know, I got 5 of them, right? So when Inspectional Services came, I needed to have the carbon monoxide filters installed. So I went and bought them and installed them. Okay, whatever, fine. Part of, we're supposed to have it, so fine, that's fine. So when the chief of Inspectional Services came and I showed him a picture of the food that the disgruntled volunteer who's no longer with me was taking and threatened to call. She threatened to call them, so she kept her threat. She kept her promise, right? He said to me, Leah, good things don't happen to bad people. And one day you're going to thank that person. And I thought, the hell? That wasn't even the word. I used a different 4-letter word. And won't drop the F-bomb on here. And so, so lo and behold, 3 weeks after Inspectional Services came, are you ready? My pellet stove, because I heat with pellet stoves. My pellet stove wasn't working properly and it was cooking the pellets instead of burning them to ash. So I shut it off. Because it wasn't enough airflow to turn it to ash. It wasn't burning. So it was 10:30 at night. I shut the pellet stove off. By 11 o'clock, the carbon monoxide alarm went off downstairs. By 11:30, the carbon monoxide alarm went off upstairs. My house was filling with carbon monoxide. That person who tried to destroy me saved my family's life. Because I didn't have those carbon monoxide filters and alarms in my house.
Oh my goodness.
You would have read Roslindale family dies of carbon monoxide inhalation and it would have been me. So when I look at a situation and I think, I've got Inspectional Services breathing down my back, and all, like, why? You know what? It was a blessing. right? And so now I say to people, this is a thing I've learned. When you look at something, know that there could be a blessing in what you consider a curse. You just haven't seen it yet.
You have to ride the waves.
Yep. Because I didn't suffer for nothing back in 2009. Look at it, what it resulted in, right? I am not going to be somebody that suffers for nothing. And I don't serve a God that lets me suffer for nothing either. Right? I'm going to harness that suffering. I'm going to channel it. I'm going to dig in and I'm going to make something out of it. Life gave me lemons. Margaritas are amazing.
Yes. And that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Leah, I need to say thank you for coming and joining us today and sharing all of your wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm honored to be here. And,
what you do is amazing. What you do is amazing. Amazing. And your ability to literally see the light through darkness is so inspiring. So inspiring. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching if you watched. Thank you for listening if you listened. You can catch Through with the Splash of Tea every Wednesday and Thursday on all streaming platforms, including YouTube. Bye now.